I never imagined I'd feel invisible in my own marriage. My name is Peter. I'm 38 years old, and I've been married to Nancy for 10 years. When we first met, everything felt effortless. She had a laugh that could light up a room. I was drawn to her warmth, her energy, the way she made even ordinary moments feel meaningful. I worked in IT and spent long hours at the office, but I always made time for her. Morning coffee together. Date nights. Small surprises. Nothing extravagant, just consistency, presence, care. I believed that's what love was built on. But somewhere along the way things changed. The spark didn't fade slowly. It disappeared. Almost overnight. Nancy started brushing off my compliments. She'd flinch when I touched her casually. Intimacy, the closeness we once shared freely, was suddenly off limits. First, I told myself it was stress. Work. Bills. Life. But the coldness wasn't occasional. It was constant. One evening, after another quiet, detached dinner, I finally spoke up. Nancy, I miss us. I miss being close. She didn't even look up from her phone. I'm just not in the mood, Peter. Not tonight. That wall, silent, unmovable, stood between us again. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I nodded, poured myself a glass of water, and walked into the living room, hoping time would somehow soften the ache in my chest. The next night I tried again. We were watching TV and I gently touched her arm. She flinched. That's when I noticed her friend Laura sitting nearby, scrolling on her phone. She looked up, raised an eyebrow, and said casually, Peter, maybe you're overreacting. I froze. Overreacting? Was I imagining the rejection? The distance? The way the woman I loved recoiled from my presence? That night I lay awake in the dark, replaying every interaction, every moment, trying to understand where the love had gone, and whether I was somehow to blame. If this feels familiar, hit the like button so this story can reach someone who might be feeling the same way. A few days later, a small argument erupted over the dishes. I was exhausted, hurt, and finally honest about how much it was wearing me down. Nancy shut it down immediately. I don't feel like being intimate with you, Peter. Just don't push it. Then Laura laughed, half joking, half serious, and said, You don't owe him anything. He's just whining. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just emotional distance anymore. I was being dismissed, undermined, and slowly erased, inside my own marriage. My hands shook, not from anger but from realization. I was alone. Take a moment and comment below. Have you ever had someone outside your relationship make things worse instead of better? Days turned into weeks. One last time I tried to reconnect. We stood in the kitchen, evening coffee filling the air, sunlight stretching across the floor. I need us to reconnect, Nancy, I said quietly. I need to feel close to you. She sighed, looked past me, and muttered, I just can't. That was the moment everything became clear. All the effort I poured in, the care, the patience, the love, was going nowhere. Like pouring water into a cracked vase. Nothing stayed. That night, after Nancy and Laura left for a movie, I sat alone and typed my thoughts into my phone. Not for sympathy but for clarity. Type the word alone in the comments if you've ever felt this kind of quiet heartbreak. In the silence, something shifted. I realized this wasn't only about intimacy. It was about respect, recognition, being valued. And those are not negotiable. The next morning I called my friend Mark and told him everything. It's not just sex, I said. It's the withdrawal, the dismissal, Laura validating it all. I feel invisible. Mark listened, then said something I'll never forget. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to change. You can only protect yourself. Later that day, I had one final honest conversation with Nancy. I love you, I said calmly, but I can't keep feeling unwanted in my own home. I need honesty. She looked up and said quietly, I don't know if I can give you what you want. That was my answer. Comment below, should Peter fight for the marriage or walk away? When Laura showed up again and made another remark, I didn't react the way I used to. I'm realizing my value isn't determined by anyone else's attention, I said. And I respect myself enough to step back. For the first time, she had nothing to say. In the days that followed, I focused on myself, my routines, my work, my friendships. The constant rejection stopped controlling my emotions. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was choosing. If this resonates, like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about emotional resilience and self-respect. Eventually, I wrote everything down, not for Nancy, not for Laura, but for me. A reminder that walking away from neglect isn't failure. It's self-preservation. Comment clarity. If a painful truth once led you to growth. By the end of that week, I wasn't angry. I was calm, clear, grounded. I had faced rejection, indifference, and interference, and still kept my dignity. Now I'll ask you, if you were Peter, what would your next step be? Like, comment, and subscribe for more real stories about navigating love, boundaries, and emotional honesty.